In the middle, actually. The Halevy. If a person was awake the whole night, it's good to be strict. He should wash his hands after he wakes up. After the dawn. He was awake the whole night. Person's awake the whole night. Does he have to wash his hands? According to some reasons, yes. According to some reasons, no. So he should be strict that after dawn, he should wash his hands. Yeah, very nice. 3 times alternating like he does every day. He should not make a blessing. Because we're not sure. According to all opinions, you should make this blessing. And when in doubt, you don't make a blessing. So we went to page. I don't like this option. Because that doesn't.
It's from Yalkut Yosef.
It's in the second drawer over there.
Okay,
Let's go where there's a green towel hanging off it. Yeah, no, there is such an opinion, but we didn't see it yet. Yalkut Yosef says in this place to do it.
When you're in doubt, not exactly about
you're not here.
But when you're in doubt.
Okay, because according to some opinions, thinking a bracha would count, but.
Actually, not Yalkut Yosef. It's from Halacha Yomit.
Oh, okay.
From the email.
Rabbi Eli Mansur?
No.
The other one. The Ravadi, okay. And even if he does go to the bathroom in the morning, or he touches covered parts of his body, or he simply got his hands dirty. According to one opinion, remember the reason you wash your hands in the morning is because
cleanliness.
Because of cleanliness. Very nice. Your hands touch parts of your body that are dirty or covered or whatever else. So what if you actually did touch a part of your body that's dirty or uncovered? Again, you would not make a blessing of Antilat Yadayim because still, according to other opinions, you didn't sleep at night, so you don't have to wash your hands in the morning. But in any case, when he goes to the bathroom, he should make the blessing of Asher Yitzar, but just Asher Yitzar, not Antilat Yadayim with it, just Asher Yitzar, because he ended up going to the bathroom.
The blessing for bread is the same for the one that you say for going to, after you going to the bath. The blessing for bread is the same. Like the
Right. But here we're talking about that just when you wake up in the morning, you do a special Antilat Yadayim. It's true. It's the same blessing as for bread.
Why is that?
Because you're also washing your hands, and there you're also washing your hands. It's the same action that you're doing. Says Rabbi David Yosef, Im yashan balayla shenat aray. What if you slept a night, but you slept a temporary sleep? Aray is temporary. What does temporary mean? Let's get a better word.
Less than 20 minutes?
Like a nap. Very nice. It's a nap. It's not a sleep.
Cat nap.
Kagon sheyashan zman mu'at b'yoter. Like you slept like a really short time.
Like during a class.
Exactly. During a class. During a speech. Let's say it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. But here we're talking like he went to bed. He actually went to bed, but for a few minutes, not for some long time. Or he didn't sleep in his actual bed. What difference does it make where he sleeps? Look at the notes.
Because in the bed you sleep undressed and
interesting. That would be interesting. But here he's actually not going on the dirtiness part, but perhaps on the part of a real sleep versus a nap. That's a good word. Let's see what he says in the bottom here. You see in the Rashi script, the last bold tzadi hey? Yeah.
what page?
On 83, in the Rashi script, on the right column, the last bold letters in parentheses. It looks like a lamed, but this is a tzadi hey because it points backwards. The head points backwards. The lamed in Rashi script looks like if you go to page 64, you'll see the Lamed Hey and versus the Tzadi Hey over here. 64 in the bottom left column in the middle. You see that Lamed Hey?
Wow.
The bottom
54.
64. 64, there's the Rashi script, there's two columns in the bottom, the left column in the middle.
Yeah.
Is that Lamed Hey?
Same thing?
No, it looks same, but see the Lamed goes straight up, and the Tzadi points backwards?
Russia tried to make it complicated.
Rashi didn't actually write like this, do you know that?
The hell did we get stuck with it?
Do you know that?
Thank you for saying
No, I
that.
know that. No, I know.
Rashi didn't write like
So who did
Poor Rashi, they blamed him. It's called Ktav Rashi. The reason is as follows. When you print a book, which of my books would have? Okay, let's say the Chumash. This is the Chumash. So in the olden days, you didn't have this ability to write in different fonts and to write in bold and not bold and make lines and, but it's kind of like you put all the words on the page. And the top part of the page is the Chumash and the bottom part of the page is Rashi. How are you supposed to know when you're reading the Chumash and when you're reading Rashi? Mm-hmm. So there was some brilliant printing house. And this printing press decided they were going to use a different font. This font.
Instead of just a different font,
They chose
a different alphabet.
and they printed the Torah in normal Hebrew and Rashi in the different Hebrew. And this became known as Rashi script. But you'll notice here, see the Rashi script is in it, this one's under there. The Orach Chaim Kadosh is also in Rashi script. He doesn't write in Rashi script. This one, they kind of alternate between so you know what you're reading, what you're not reading.
So you're better off calling it like Mefarshim script or something, but it's just...
Exactly. It's some editor decided to do this, and now we're still paying the price for it. In many Sephardic countries, especially Morocco, for example, my grandfather, my grandfather Yaakov, he used to write in Rashi script, all his papers. I've seen his handwriting. And almost all the rabbis I know from Morocco write in Rashi script. The reason being that it's hard to forge. It's not block letters you kind of could get. Cursive is much more, you have to know how to write. And so very often it showed like a certain style of handwriting. So Rashi script later earned itself a place in the world of writing. There are people who actually write in Rashi script. Not us. We actually write in what we call in Hebrew not this block script, but the what do they call it when they write? The aleph for the normal Hebrew writing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not cursive, but it's not block, right?
Yeah.
So that script is that's what we write in today. But then many people wrote in this kind of Hebrew.
So is there any cursive equivalent in Hebrew?
Not quite. You can look at some old, mostly Sephardic books. The reason why Sephardic books are in the Ashkenazi countries, they were almost always using Latin characters, which by their default are separate from each other.
Yeah.
You look at some old Sephardic books, and probably because people were so used to writing Arabic, which is a kind of cursive language, they wrote Hebrew in a very similar fashion. And so you'll find that it looks like cursive, but not really. You actually probably wouldn't be able to read it. It could be that I have right here. I have a picture. You want to see what I'm talking about? Helen, can you do me a favor? If you go all the way to the shelf, not the one to the left, but the second one from the left, the top shelf, right there, the top shelf, and the last book on the left. No, top, all the way in the top, the last book on the left. Let's hope it's just still there, unless someone moved it. Let me see it. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. This is a photocopy of one of the all the Kabbalists in Jerusalem decided to write a certain letter where they were swearing to be soulmates in this world and the next world, and it's a very Kabbalistic letter. Famous is the Chida who signed on it, And so Rabbi Yosef had an original copy of it that he took a photocopy of and put in his book just to preserve it. So you'll look at this handwriting and you probably won't be able to make out any words because this is the way it's Rashi script actually, but it's in a style that looks very similar to Arabic. And you look at the signatures; some of them are in different shapes. Some look like boats. Some look like birds. It was a certain style, at least in the Middle Eastern world of rabbis, to sign their names in a certain fashion. So you can look at this; it doesn't look anything like the Hebrew you've seen before.
Wow.
So this is not so bad to read compared to that. That's what I'm trying to share with you.
They don't teach that in school in Israel.
They don't teach Rashi script. They a little bit. Most of my relatives in Israel who are not observant don't know how to read Rashi script. It's not really used anywhere. Some people write Rashi script on the wedding invitations. For most people, that'll be a problem because then you don't know how to get to the wedding, right? But the reason why they do it is according to the Kabbalists, any block writing, you have to put in a geniza. The halachas don't agree, but according to the Kabbalists, anything written in block script is considered holy.
Really?
So, wedding invitations, which people throw out, the Kabbalists are strict that they should write it in cursive or write it in some form of Hebrew that's not block script. So it's not unusual from certain circles to get wedding invitations in Rashi script. It looks much less professional. But the whole idea is so that when people throw it away, they're not throwing away the block letters. But I didn't see any of my rabbis particular about this. Just an opinion.
Yeah, it isn't really cursive though, because the letters are distinct from one another.
From one another.
And they're not connected.
They'll look at the signatures.
Where?
All of the things on the bottom.
Got signatures.
Those are a plug for all your Simcha needs. Hatikva has a wide variety
Yes,
of cursive fonts.
Rashi
That looks very
script.
attractive, yeah.
Yeah, a little
Invitations.
bit. They're a little connected. Yeah, I see. But, anyways, they don't teach cursive here anymore, so what's the difference? I mean, there's no cursive taught in schools today.
Really?
No.
When I was in school, they taught us cursive.
No, my daughter's writing cursive.
She is?
Yeah, both of them. And now the younger one, she's also...
I was told that they're not doing that.
It could be. It could be that certain schools that don't do it. You're already asking about this. Why not?
You don't teach cursive anymore.
They don't teach it very long. I mean, it wasn't like it used to be
Oh, it used to be a science.
months-long
thing.
science.
Yeah, it was like a course within a course.
My mom's handwriting is unbelievable. You know, it's just
Yeah.
like so
Remember
pretty.
When
Like,
people write to me in cursive, I never know what they're writing. Because people's cursive is very messy. I don't know.
Yeah, some people have some really messy cursives. Well, when someone has a beautiful cursive, it really looks special. But you know,
Yeah.
it's just a lost art. You know.
It sure is. I haven't seen any beautiful cursive in a long time.
I know how to do it, but boy, when I don't use it so infrequently. I mean, it used to be I'd write whole essays in it, but now
It's
you
like
just
typing.
you'd be.
What is this?
I don't know what kids do in college now when they have to like write out an essay. It must be pretty rough for teachers. And kids.
Playing it on the phone.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have to type anymore. Siri.
Siri.
This is from a Kabbalist who lived in Baghdad. It's Hebrew.
Oh.
Again, it's not exactly
It's not
cursive,
cursive.
but
But it is.
all right. So let's go down to Tzadihin in the footnotes on page 83. Thanks. And this is why I love being in my house, because all my books are here.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I'll just pull from the shelf. Tzadihin, writes Rabbi Yosef, Ayen Sukkah. Look at the Talmud in Sukkah. Kamahu shiur shinat arai. What is considered sleeping a small amount of sleep? Why don't we look this up? We're already here. Why don't we look it up? Moshkan, can you get me a Gemara there? It'll go straight to the same bookcase where Hillel took it from, but the third shelf down, there's a small set of Gemara. One should say, probably look at the second volume, maybe it says Sukkah on it, or second or third, or I don't remember exactly. One should say sukkah on the back. Megillah, sukkah. If not that one, the next one. You know, one of my rabbis used to have on his desk the whole Gemara. It just
Oh, I can put them back there.
sukkah, yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Next time I'm going to ask him for the whole bookcase. Yeah, Chavav, we said Chavav. Let's see what the Gemara says to us over here. How much is sleeping? One of the rabbis says it's how long it takes you to walk 100 amah.
Not too long.
Like 50 feet.
That isn't going to take
So from here,
5
No,
minutes.
200 feet.
150 feet.
180 feet.
Well,
so from here to the bookshelf, is that?
No.
Is that?
No,
No, 150
further.
feet. 50 amma is 150 feet. No, 75 feet. Sorry, 75 feet. Because it's 1.5 feet per amma.
Yes.
75 feet.
So from here to the street, is that?
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it's like short now.
So
if you sleep any longer, you'll be sleeping. You're not napping.
But how long does it take to walk 75 feet? A few seconds. So it's not even a minute.
Certainly not too long. Unless you do it in slow motion. That's an idea.
It's not 2 seconds, you're talking about front of the house to the back fence.
Yeah.
It takes more than 2 seconds. 2 seconds. will take.
One rabbi says as long as it takes to drink 2 or 3 gulps.
2 or 3 what?
Gulps of a drink.
Gulps.
Like,
so
Yeah, 2 seconds.
so what question are we trying to answer now?
What is a nap?
Under half an hour?
15 seconds.
can you read me the first volume of this, please?
You trying to find an answer that's longer?
No, I'm trying to figure out. There has to be a number that goes along with how long it takes to walk 100. You know, I'm not like.
Because a lot of things are done in measurements like that, and they don't say time.
Right, but someone else on the page should, or at least they should reference me to the Shulchan Aruch where he would explain.
Don't need that? Kids really don't like that thing, huh? Really don't like it. The nose,
We might be in luck.
the nose section thing. The nose bulb for babies.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, where was it? Where was it? On the table?
No.
It's on the floor. Wow.
They,
Shut up, right?
So if we're not Ashkenazi, we can just use common sense.
Why is Ashkenazim can't use common sense?
It is a number. Right?
Let's see here. Oh, Jack, we're being racist towards
Just
you?
visiting.
Common sense. Hitler also uses common sense.
Let's see here. Says the Mishnah Berurah, what is Shinat Arai? See, the Gemara in Shabbat, the Gemara in Sukkah took me to the Gemara in Brachot. The Gemara in Brachot took me to the laws of Tefillin. The laws of Tefillin have a commentary from the Chavetz Chaim, Mishnah Berurah. So now we can see what is he considered to be, because the same halakha applies that you can't sleep more than a nap in your Tefillin. So the question is, how long is it? So says the Mishnah Berurah, Ven Shir Lezeh. There's no exact amount of time for this. That's the answer. Ve'esh omrim, some say, Kedei hiluch me'amah, like walking 100 amah. And it is V'hu chelek samech zayin misha'a bekiruv. What does that mean? It is it's a certain part of an hour. It says the Vilna Gaon says that in his commentary.
You're wondering how much you can compress this.
Rosh Chaim, the top shelf.
You're giving us
In the middle bookcase, the middle one, top shelf, all the way to the right, the first volume.
You might have to reconfigure your room, right? The dining room is over there and the living room is over
Right,
there.
we're over here. That's originally how I set up the house, but the couches didn't fit over here. My wife thought I was crazy because this is where the light is. So,
You see, this is the value of digital information. If you have this all digitized, all you have to do is input what you're looking for, and it would go right to it.
but you lose all the fun.
Well, fun, yeah. Old school hyperlinking is more fun than new school hyperlinking.
I'll tell you, there's a whole system in here, how you look things up from one thing to the next. It just takes time, you're right, definitely takes
Yeah.
time. Can't lie to you that we don't ever use Google sometimes, to Google the question, and then they'll give you all the sources, you don't have to worry about it. Here.
Concordancia.
Probably the only going is you could never actually understand what he's saying.
you take a nap or sleeping. So
So we cannot enter the bathroom with a holy book, right? But can we enter the bathroom with a cell phone which contains... the
Yeah, as long as you don't
Siman?
read the holy book in there.
No clicking on the, or scroll up.
So what is the difference between book and cell phone? Digital information?
It's like if you erase psukim on your cell phone, did you violate erasing Hashem's name? The answer is not. So it wasn't actually written there in the first place. It's an appearance that
permanent.
it's written there. It's not something physical that's there. That's written.
But the computer program...
When you write on cloth, though, then you write on it. Whenever you wrote there, if you decide you don't want that, you ruin the cloth. You're not going to reuse it. When you write on the on the computer, it's basically a RAM chip, so you can just erase it and read again and write it again and read again and write again many times as you want, and then you. So there's no
You can
real
erase
permanence.
a pencil too. You have if you write something holy in a pencil, you erase it.
The pen also
Can you do that with a pencil eraser?
No.
You usually still see like
I know.
the embossed.
I don't know that that's what's going to make or break this
Yeah.
this halakha. Rather, is there something physical that you're removing right now? When you type on a computer, you're not actually removing anything once you delete something. It's not what we would define as physical. It's kind of like if you were to write Hashem's name in steam. I don't know, you managed to, so can you then go like that? Is that actually something? You'd have to ask those questions. It's not the same as writing it down on a piece of paper or on a wall or something like that. Here, let's see the Kavod Chaim.
you have to think back to what they had then. They didn't have computers then. So they had paper and writing utensils, but no computers.
Okay, so basically he's finally giving me numbers. The numbers are as follows. 2/5 of an hour? What would that be?
2/5 of an hour,
2/5 and 40%.
24 minutes.
40 minutes?
2/5.
No, 2 minutes.
24 minutes.
20. No, 2 minutes. Yeah, 24 minutes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, and then one opinion says 1/50th of an hour, which is like nothing.
1/50th hour is nothing.
Right.
Less than 2
Remember I told you about half an hour
Less
once
than
upon a
2
time?
minutes, 150.
Let's stick to this number. 24 minutes is about how long they claimed it. But why would that be as long as it takes you to walk 100 amma?
It isn't.
It isn't.
So you just have different, it's apples. and
Different number. Again, you'd have to know what is a nap, what is not a nap. So
Yeah.
this is exactly why I'm telling us to do this footnote. Like this. Ayen Sukkah. Look at Sukkah. We're in 83. Kamahu shiur shenat arai. How much is sleeping a nap? V'katav. Next page on the Rashi script. 84. V'katav b'shut harosh. And it's written in the questions and answers of the Rosh. The Shena Miyoshev. Oh, here he's not talking anymore about the amount of time, but rather the position in which you're sleeping can also dictate what is a nap and what is not a nap. Meaning, the Shena Miyoshev, if you're sleeping sitting down, O alatzile yadav, or you're leaning on your hands, your arms, you're like this, right? Shenat arayhu. No matter how long you sleep, then that's considered a temporary sleep. I wonder if that would apply to sitting on an airplane. I mean, there are people I've seen sit to sleep on the airplane for 12 hours. And they don't wake up. Would the Rosh then say that they don't have to wash their hands when they wake up? Or is there a limit to, if you're sitting up but you're actually sleeping a whole night's sleep, then it could be...
Well, if you're on a plane for 12
Sleeping in the
hours.
airline is not like sleeping in the bed. Sleeping in the house.
Well, there's a big difference because in a 12-hour period, the sun could rise or set.
Yeah, you put
So-
right so many.
That wouldn't qualify as a nap to me if you're...
I mean, so many rabbis agree with this opinion that also the position in which you're sleeping is important. So let's go back to our halakha on the top of 83. So if a person sleeps for a short amount of time, or he doesn't sleep in his bed, meaning he's sleeping in a temporary position, Yesh omrim, some say shedino, that his halakha is kedin mishalo yashan balayla klal. It's as if he didn't sleep at all the whole night. He's got the same halakha. Meaning like the halakha before. What would he do?
No bracha.
He would wash his hands without a bracha. When would he wash his hands?
After dawn.
Very nice, after dawn. V'yesh omrim, and some say,
After dawn, the time dawn or after you're done?
Dawn.
Dawn. D-O-W-N. Like the dish soap.
Both of them. Dawn, done.
Most people would say you spell dawn the dish soap like in the sun coming out. Not the dawn isn't the standard.
Yeah.
It's the variable.
In the rooster sun.
Anyways.
okay. V'yesh omrim, some say shetzarich litol yadav shlosh pam nisurgin. You have to wash your hands 3 times, alternatingly levarech al tilat yadayim, and actually to make the blessing al tilat yadayim. There are such opinions. Ula halakha nira, but according to halakha it appears shekedei latzet yidei safek, in order to not be in doubt. What is he doing to us right here? What is he doing? What is he doing?
Take so much time washing hands, we're not going to eat.
I don't know what he wants to do to us tonight.
It ain't easy.
I'm going to translate it for you, and we're going to figure this out together. It appears according to halakha, shekedei latzet yidei safek, in order to not be any more in doubt, meaning that way you'll be able to make a blessing. What should you do? Yitel and kavav, you should go to the bathroom. V'yega biyadav b'mkomot mechusim, you should intentionally touch parts of his body that are normally covered. V'lachar miken, and afterwards Yitel yadav, you should wash his hands. V'yivarech b'shem malchut, and you should make a blessing with Hashem's name. Birkat al tilat yadayim.
What's the last part?
That he should then wash his hands and make a blessing. Al tilat yadayim. Forget the order. I'm not talking now, but it would make it before or after. But he's saying, let's say a person slept in this situation where they're sleeping on, sitting up or leaning to the side or something. According to one opinion, they should make a blessing, but there still are those who say you don't. So what should you do? You should go to the bathroom and touch parts of your body that are normally covered, and then come out. And obviously, according to everybody, you need to make a blessing.
And if you really like to make a blessing, you can do it 100 times a day.
I don't know what he's trying. I don't know where he's trying to take us with this.
It's called sleight of hand.
Let's not publish this tonight's audio. We're going to end up being like another
This isn't being
more
recorded,
more
right?
fodder for Saturday Night Live.
I think it is.
Oh, well.
Yeah, waiting for someone to stand up, live from New York.
It's like Monday Night Live.
Live from San Diego, it's Monday night.
I see what he's trying to do here. I think. Seems like according to Maran in the Beit Yosef, Maran says that if you sleep, even a short amount of sleep, you would make a bracha on Tatadayim afterwards. Because there's no shiur for this, so if a person were to sleep in the middle of the night, whatever amount of 10 minutes, he would wake up, he would make an on Tatadayim. The problem is that there are rabbis who argue, and according to him, because anyone who argues with Maran, you don't make the blessing, he's trying to find another way where you can add an opinion that would allow you to make the blessing. In which case, Maran would say you would make the blessing because you slept a short amount of time. And the Rosh would say you make a blessing because you touch a part of your body that's normally uncovered, and therefore, it's normally covered, and therefore you would be allowed to make a bracha afterwards. It seems to be he's trying to jump through some technical hoops. It could be that according to Maran, in this situation, a person would wake up and make a bracha in the morning.
So is the goal to try to make a
I mean, not in
bracha
the
and
morning,
find a
but
situation?
anytime you...
After the post nap, right?
Here we're still talking about the nighttime specifically. He napped in the nighttime, didn't sleep.
So we're not talking about daytime.
No.
No, it's about falling asleep in front of the TV.
Then he has to go to the
It's a good
mikvah.
book. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to the next halakha. I think things are going to start getting
Depends
clear.
upon what he was watching on TV.
Exactly. Depends what he was watching. If he was watching the screen that goes, shh, then that's okay. You know, a blank screen. But if it has something on it, then you have to go to the mikvah. So, it's on page 85. No, the truth is, there's nothing that's purely evil. You can always find something good to do on anything. Im yashan balayla, if a person sleeps, oh, look at this.
The issue is we don't have a clear definition of
So-
what napping is.
Of what? Napping, exactly.
We don't have a
Im
clear
yash- That's it. That's one of the problems. But even so, let's say we don't have a definition. But let's say you nap. So do you make ansat tadayim on napping? Seems to me Maran says yes, but nobody else agrees with him. So it's a problem. Let's see the halakha on 85. Im yashan balayla. Let's say a person sleeps at night. Watch. Hold your breath. Kshe'adav mechusot b'kfafot, when he was wearing gloves.
So like touches the
Anyone
part
just
of his
see Jack
body.
with- Why? What are we talking about over here? What is he not doing when he's wearing gloves?
Touching
Touching
He can't touch any part of his body. It could be you also can get ruach ra'ah if your hands are covered. Could be there's such an opinion.
Yeah.
Is he also putting toothpicks to hold the eyes open?
No, I don't know what he's doing right now with the gloves. Yitol yadav b'shacharit. You should wash his hands in the morning. Shalosh pa'amim l'sirugin. 3 times alternatingly. Achloi varech b'shem malchut b'chat antilat yadayim, but you should not make the blessing antilat yadayim with God's name. And then he does the incredible, because I remember learning this halakha when I was in high school. Not like he's saying. There's a letter written by Rabbi Yosef. What about soldiers who are out in the Negev, and they're not going to have water to wash their hands in the morning? What should they do? Rabbi Yosef says, put on gloves, and then in the morning you don't have to wash your hands. And he writes in the footnote, and even though my father says that you don't have to wash your hands, who is his father? Rabbi Yosef. I still think that you should do it without a blessing.
Well, his father's not around to find it.
But his father was here when he wrote the book.
So,
I would say you would not make the blessing
is that
there.
a case of insubordination?
It's a case of having his own opinion. It's a case of having his own opinion.
Okay.
And again, this is a classic case of where his father felt that he had the big enough shoulders to cut and make a decision. The son feels like he has to still appease opinions, which is the downfall of halakha. When instead of having opinions, we suddenly have people who are trying to make everyone happy, and essentially making nobody happy. Yeah. Because by making those other rabbis happy, he's essentially arguing with his father. He's not making his father happy and the other opinions happy. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not reconciling everything.
You can say it's two opinions. So the same topic, you have two opinions.
Right, but inevitably, but one opinion is disagreeing with the other opinion. And if you're making that opinion happy, you're not making the other opinion happy. So that's what he's doing. So you find a place here, he's arguing with his father. He says, my father holds that Ruach Ra'ah doesn't get in your hands at all when you wear gloves.
Why are you connected only to hands?
Very good question.
You're in shower with the body, the full body is immersed.
It seems to be that Ruach Ra'ah rests in your fingertips, your fingernails. And again, Ruach Ra'ah is a Kabbalistic concept. According to Kabbalah, your fingernails are what your entire body was made of before Adam HaRishon did the sin. And therefore, it's kind of a reminder, like this is what you could have been, and it's not what you are, and that's why the Kabbalah say you look at your fingers by Havdalah, you look at the fingertips to remind you of potential that we lost and such things. And it seems to be that a person's tumah, impurities, on their fingertips. That's why by Mayim Achronim you wash off your fingertips. That's why by your hands seem to be the place that holds also holiness, but also the tumah when it happens. Why there? How there? I'm not a mekubah. But it seems to be that if you would have your hands covered, according to Chacham Ovadiah's reading of the text, you would not be getting Ruach Ra'ah in your hands.
Yes, we use our hands to carry a siddur or carry a Torah.
You mean you could use your hands for good and for bad? In this situation, your hand, it's not your whole body that's becoming tameh, rather it's your hands that are becoming tameh.
What about your feet? They're always tumah?
That's it. We were discussing this a little bit earlier. There were times in the Beit HaMikdash where we did wash our hands and our feet. There was such a thing. Today we don't do such a thing. It could be because of that. They're always covered. They're always tumah. That we don't deal with that. We had this question. Does anyone remember what we answered? Why we don't wash our feet today?
We don't wash our feet.
Someone asked this question before and we looked it up.
We didn't talk about morning. We talked that we don't have a earthly floor today. We have a floor that is above the earth.
Oh, and so that was like
So
it was like
actually
it was a cleanliness for tefillah. Like your feet have to be clean, and so because your feet aren't getting dirty.
Talk about night.
Interesting.
Well, they don't come in contact really with any books or the Torah.
Right, but it seems to be that Ruach Ra'ah doesn't go there. Although in Kabbalistic literature, for example, where's that book that you were looking at? This one. He writes that a person's soul leaves their body through their toenail. Which is why a person is not allowed to sleep with their shoes on, the Chidah says. Because then the soul can't leave the body, and it causes damage to a person's soul. It's also the reason, perhaps, why we don't use dead people's shoes. The one thing we don't take from a dead person. So on and so forth. There's
in yoga, there is same conception.
Well, they took it from
When
us.
they leave the body in meditation,
It's through.
they enter them from the foot.
So this is a Jewish concept, Kabbalistic concept, that was somehow hijacked by the yoga people. But there is such a notion. So it could. I mean, I'm trying to further your question, which is, it could be that there is such a thing as Ruach Ra by its feet, and we're not even there yet. But for right now, the poskim are dealing with hands. That seems to be the place where the Ruach Ra goes. I wish I had a better answer for you. The next question we have is as follows. I know that if I sleep at night, I get Ruach Ra. But what is considered nighttime? I mean, do I have to sleep before midnight? Like, this time is night.
Is it, you talked about this before, but is it the night that is the thing that determines whether you wash your hands, or is it the fact you touch your body?
2 opinions. 3 opinions. Or you just mentioned the 3rd opinion. One opinion says it's the nighttime that makes you tamei. You awake, sleeping, doesn't make a difference. That makes you have Ruach Ra. The second opinion says no, Ruach Ra happens whenever you sleep at nighttime. So if you're not sleeping at nighttime, you don't get. And the third opinion says no, it has to do with touching your body while you're sleeping. So those are 3 different opinions. So here we're asking this question: what if I sleep at night? So I'm fulfilling both of those opinions. But what is considered nighttime? Is nighttime from sunset till midnight, or from midnight till sunrise, or the whole time between sunset and sunrise? In Kabbalah, you'll notice that many things that you're not allowed to do at night, you're allowed to start doing from midnight. The reason being that midnight is kind of it's already on the out. The night is going away. It's becoming daytime. So let's say I go to sleep not at 8 o'clock at night, but I go to sleep at midnight plus a minute. Whenever that would be. So let's say halachic midnight is 12:30, so 12:31 I'm going to sleep. Did I sleep at night or not?
No.
Well, it depends on how you define it.
But we don't have those. We don't have the whole equation. No, yeah, according to those who would say, but we don't have the whole equation. It's going to tell us how you figure this out. So let's look what he says here. Im halach lishon achal chatzot halayla. If a person goes to sleep after midnight, halachic midnight, v'yashan shenat keva al mitato, and he slept a real sleep on his bed, not a nap. He really slept. Tzarich litol yadav baboker kamo b'chol yom. He washes his hands in the morning like he does every morning. Umvarech b'shem malchut b'chat al netilat yadayim, and he blesses with Hashem's name al netilat yadayim.
So he says the blessing. He washes and he says the blessing.
Right. This seems to be a fight between the poskim and the Kabbalists. I mean, I do this almost every night. Sleep after midnight and wake up. So I mean, and in the morning I make a brachot. It seems like the Kabbalists and the poskim are at a difference as to what really happens with the Ruach Ra. It seems like according to Maran, any time you sleep at night until sunrise, and it's a real sleep, you make an Al Netilat Yadayim in the morning. The Mekubalim say, this is the writings of Rabbi Shaar. Rabbi Shaar is one of the giant Kabbalists of Sfarad. He's actually not Sephardic, he's Yemenite. He left Yemen when he was 15, according to Jewish legend, took a magic carpet to Syria, where he became one of the big rabbis in Syria, and then later became the chief Kabbalist of Jerusalem. That yeshiva of Kabbalists who once watched on a YouTube video, those are all students of the students of his students. That's the Rashash's school of thought. There is an Ashkenazi Rashash, he's in the back of the Talmud. It's not the same Rashash as this Rashash. This one's name is Rabbi Shalom Sha'abi, a famous Sephardic Kabbalist. Essentially, the Sfaradim follow all of his Kabbalah like the Arizal, meaning we have loyalties to the Rashash, a very deep loyalty to the Rashash. The Ben Ish Chai, all those are all in the school of thought of the Rashash. They all seem to believe that, let's say a person's up past midnight. What's he doing up past midnight?
Tikkun Rachel.
Tikkun Chatzot, something like that. It seems like according to those Mekubalim, they hold that at midnight you would have to make Berkot HaShachar all over again. I mean, you don't make the blessings when you wake up in the morning. You make the blessings as soon as the new half of the day starts, which is after midnight.
Not
And-
because you slept, but because it was night.
Right. And so what they seem to say is, let's say you made those brachot at midnight, and then you study Torah, the Rashash says the Ruach Ra'ah no longer comes to bother you if you go to sleep afterwards. And when you wake up in the morning, you don't have to wash your hands anymore. The Ben Ish Chai writes this also. A lot of the Mekubalim write this as well. But the Poskim don't seem to make a differentiation between midnight, not midnight, did you learn Torah, did you not learn Torah, when the Ruach Ra'ah comes. So it could be if you were a Kabbalist and you were very in tune with your own personal Ruach Ra'ah, you would know what to do here. But here the Poskim seem to say that no, this is a standard case of sleeping at night. We're not going to start differentiating between post-midnight, pre-midnight, all of those things, and so we're going to leave it as it is. And I think that's the normal halakha. If I'm not mistaken, Ashkenazim also agree. I remember in Baltimore, on Shavuot, when someone, for the Ashkenazim, they can't make a bracha in the morning if someone didn't sleep. So what they do is they always send somebody to sleep. So like an hour before Shachrit started, they send someone back to go take a nap somewhere, and then they bring him back. And it seems like their halakha is that he would make the brachot for everybody, and that seems to be both Sfaradim and Ashkenazim, minus the Kabbalists, agree that that's how you do it. Anytime you sleep at night, if it was enough sleep, then you would make the brachot in the morning. Enough sleep doesn't mean you woke up like, I don't want to sleep anymore. Enough sleep means you slept more than a nap.
So if someone dreams while they sleep, is that not considered a nap?
It's a good question. Let's say you're so deep asleep that you actually dream about something. I don't know, a person has I don't dream so much. Some people I know have dreams all the time. I guess you have to ask, can someone have a dream when they nap for a few minutes? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not
I'm an infrequent dreamer.
You dream more than the nap.
Yeah?
I think you can dream anytime. You can dream even if you sleep for 2 minutes. You can start dreaming.
Some people dream even when they're awake.
And that's called a
Hallucination.
daydream.
A daydream, there you go.
Some sleep on that week.
Okay, so let's say according to mainstream halakha, we would make a bracha in the morning in such a situation. What time we're up to? Oh, we have some time. Baruch Hashem.
So what if you wake up, then you go back to sleep in the night, and you're not sure if you really slept more than 30 minutes. Let's say the first time you get up, you wash, go to the toilet, wash again with the bracha, then you go to sleep, and then you wake up, but you're not really sure if you slept more than 15 or 30 minutes. Do you say the bracha?
But why did you make all the bracha and everything the first time around? Did you think you were going to stay awake? Is that the thought?
Yeah.
Actually, there are professions like persons supposed to be on call all night. So it could be like several times he's answering phone or going somewhere, then coming back, go to sleep, then wake up again, and go to sleep again.
Yeah.
Again, it seems like in that situation, he would, unless you're a Kabbalist who say you start from midnight to make brachot, that person would only be making brachot again when dawn comes, not every time he wakes up in the middle of the night.
Oh, because if you wake up in the middle of the night, 'cause you have to go to the toilet.
No, you don't say bracha.
So we mentioned this, we studied this before. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think,
And we said, pretty much.
Nitilat Yadayim alternating, he's supposed to do every time. Or not?
yeah, let's say I wake up.
It seems like yes.
You asked same question last time too.
Eli remembers
Last time.
without a bracha
Without it.
because he's still not. It still didn't finish
So it's
his
not done.
right.
Okay. So if you get up in the middle of the night, you wash, but no bracha, do your thing, go back to sleep, hopefully.
Do you doubt, take a bath.
Wait,
Go to the next one.
Take a bath. Yeah, that's generally good
Now,
advice.
he
Yeah.
also says if you woke up at night and need to go to the bathroom and then you plan to go back to sleep and you're afraid that you will do Nitilat Yadayim and your sleep will run away, then you can take a towel, dry towel, and rub it with dry towel.
Let's see right now. Im halach lishon b'tchilat halayla, if a person goes to sleep in the beginning of the night, v'kam mishnato kodem chatzot halayla, and then he wakes up before midnight. So let's say a person at 6 o'clock finishes Arvit, comes home, says goodnight to his wife, gets into bed. This happens to you every night, right? And then, I don't know, around 11:30, he says, oh, I slept so much already, I want to wake up again. And and so now he's awake before midnight. He told Yadav b'li bracha, he should wash his hands but without a blessing. Umikol makom, but in any case, if he wishes to make an Netilat Yadayim, then yesh lo al ma she'yismoch, he has on whom to rely.
But why without he has a ruach ra, only because it's not a dam, because there's no sofek, he has a ruach ra.
It seems to be the safek is from the Kabbalists, which say that the first half of the night
His actual night.
they hold that if you only sleep the first half of the night, you also don't have ruach ra.
But they say
And so-
that first part of the night is actual night.
And the second half. So what they seem to be saying is you have to sleep through both halves of the night.
And they don't count nap anyway, anytime.
Well, right now we're talking about night. Remember, I told you that when you start studying Kabbalah, people say, "Oh, why does Halakha and Kabbalah argue?" They're using different frames of reference. They don't use the same terms we use. See, for me, nighttime is nighttime. What does it make difference? The first half of the night, the second half of the night. As a halachist, night is night. The Mekubalim, suddenly they have, well, the first half of the night is in this kind of world, and the second half of the night is that kind of world, and the bracha of Netilat Yadayim comes from combinations of worlds. And then you find yourself, so then the Kabbalists are this, and then the Kabbalists say that, and it doesn't look like it makes sense. We're trying to make sense of things. We don't know, we're not aware of the terms which they haven't defined their terms for us, because that's the nature of Kabbalah. They don't, if you understand it, then
So if
they don't
we
need to
cannot
find their terms
please
for you.
Kabbalists anyway, why then do we mess up?
Do you hear what Moshe Chaim is asking? If we're in any way not going to appease the Kabbalists, so why are we keep bringing up the Kabbalists over here?
It's a good question.
Here's your big problem.
To strike a balance.
The Ben Ish Chai, big Sephardic rabbi, many people follow him.
He was Kabbalist.
Yes, also a halachist. The Kav HaChaim was a halachist and also a mekubal. Many of the later Sephardic rabbis who wrote codes of law had a very heavy Kabbalistic influence in them. And that's when those worlds met. And all of a sudden you have entire Jewish communities who are following these opinions because that's what Sephardic halakha nowadays says to do. Comes along Rabbi Ovadia Yosef or his sons or anyone who's from a different kind of Sephardic camp. See, Ashkenazim don't have this problem. Ashkenazim didn't let Kabbalah and halakha mix too much. And when the Hasidim came along and tried to do the same thing that Sephardim did, they let them have a run for their money. That's essentially half of the fight that they had with each other. The Hasidim always make themselves sound like they're victims. They were innocent victims of a... The Hasidim came and tried to overthrow the way Ashkenazi Jewry had operated for 2,000 years and expected nobody was going to say anything to them. I know my wife will not appreciate the simplistic view of Hasidic history, but essentially,
She's not alone, yes.
they're trying to change the way that the halachic system works. That's the special thing about Ashkenaz. And Ashkenaz, because change was always resisted, it's very rare to find like new trends going on in the Ashkenazi halachic system. In the Sephardic system, Kabbalah was always close to heart, and therefore as soon as you found people who were willing to allow it to mix, here's what you have. You have books of the Ben Ish Chai, and then you find yourself saying, "Oh, I thought that was halakha," and then you look at Shulchan Aruch and it doesn't say the same thing. And even though the Ben Ish Chai tells you, "I follow everything like the Shulchan Aruch," that's true, except for when he feels like Kabbalah needs to have priority also.
So if you say that Rav Ovadia and his sons are from the different camps, from camps of Maran and pure halacha, then why he's bringing these Kabbalistic opinions over and over
Because
again?
at the end of the day, Chacham
Mixing
Ovadia
everything.
is also under this influence. We all are. It's become part of our Sephardic halachic package. And to separate the two today, we would be saying we're following pure halacha, but we wouldn't be following pure Sephardic halacha. Because essentially we're undoing what's already been done for at least 500 years.
So when he gives an opinion that disagrees with the Kabbalistic view, does he have to disprove the Kabbalistic view, or does he just say he doesn't agree with it?
He doesn't disprove it. He just normally shows that
He just,
they're right in Kabbalah, but not in halacha.
so he has to take into consideration because it's part of the environment that he lives in.
Very nice. That's essentially what he's doing. Chacham Ovadiah's first works in halacha are. Okay, so I need you to get me a book again. Okay, he's got a lot of exercise. Okay, the second bookcase from the left. Yeah, that one in front of you.
Yeah.
The second shelf from the top. And there should be a set of books called Halichot Olam.
This world or next.
No. No, either on that shelf or the one on top of it.
This is so complex.
No, not there. So go into the top. The top. There's Chazon Ovadia. That's all the right side is Chazon Ovadia. The left side. Halichot Olam. Do you see that?
Between those?
Yeah, they all look the same, but they're not really the same.
Oh, okay.
Okay, finish the Chazon Ovadias. We're not in that set. What's the next set? Oh, give me the one that says Aleph on it.
That's it.
The first Halichot Olam. Very good. It's like 7 volumes or something. They all look the same.
Yeah.
All of Rabbi Vaidis' books look the same, but they're not actually the same. Halichot Olam.
Looks the same.
That's his sons. They're all the same style.
Yeah.
So when I
Yeah, your book too.
when I
Couldn't you call it
printed
like a
my
diamond
book,
or something?
when I printed my book, someone wrote me a letter saying how chutzpahdik I am, that I think I'm on a level of Rabbi Vadia Yosef. I said,
Making it
this is
over.
like the most standard Jewish kind of book that exists. There's a red book with black and gold, and that's just what it is. I mean, all of them they'll look like this. So this Rabbi Vadia Yosef wrote when he was about 17 years old. He wrote this set.
Wow, how many volumes?
7 volumes, 8 volumes, I think. I don't remember exactly. Basically, he was the rabbi in the community where the Ben Ish Chai was the rabbi. I mean, he was like the equivalent of today, perhaps, the Chavetz Chaim or Rav Moshe Feinstein.
Oh, those are the books that were burned?
Who burned them?
The Baghdadi...
Yes, yes,
Sephardi.
yes. I didn't want to bring up that part of Jewish history.
But
Rabbi
now you
Ovadia
do.
Yosef is an Iraqi rabbi, meaning his loyalties should be to the Iraqi Jewish community, which their rabbi was the Ben Ish Chai, Rabbi Yosef Chaim of Baghdad. Unfortunately, Chacham Ovadia, or fortunately, depending who you ask, Chacham Ovadia Yosef had a very deep connection to Maran, Rabbi Yosef Karo. He felt that it's okay, the Ben Ish Chai had the right, because of his holiness, to bring in Kabbalistic ideas, but it's not for the people, it's for Kabbalists. For the people, they have to follow mainstream halakha. And even though I can point out a few times, like here, where Rabbi Wezer bring up a lot of Kabbalah, at the end of the day, Rabbi Ovadia Yosef was forced to give a class in the writings of the Ben Ish Chai. When he was a young guy, when he was 17, we don't learn Ben Ish Chai where I come from. He studies Ben Ish Chai, he didn't have anything against the Ben Ish Chai, he just didn't agree that that way of ruling halachot was for the mainstream population. So what Rabbi Ovadia Yosef did was he was teaching Ben Ish Chai, and all the while he was teaching the Ben Ish Chai, he was writing a running commentary on the Ben Ish Chai where he agreed and disagreed with the Ben Ish Chai. And that later was published in his life as an 8, or I don't remember exactly, 7, 8, 9 volume set as a critique on the Ben Ish Chai. Some of it complimentary, some of it critique, some of it... Basically, if you want to really study the Ben Ish Chai, you would use this book because it gives you hundreds of other sources. It's written in Rabbi Yosef's style. See the Ben Ish Chai and then Rabbi Yosef's notes in it. The Jews of Baghdad didn't take to this new fad very well. Imagine you go to Rabbi Moshe Feinstein's community and you start teaching Rabbi Moshe Feinstein's writings with your places where you disagree with him.
Yeah.
And you're 17 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're 17.
So that is chutzpah.
Chutzpahdik.
Yeah.
Even though in here Rabbi Yosef calls him Rabbeinu, Hamchaber, our master, our teacher, our this, he's very respectful to him. But he says, I have to say what Halakha says. He got himself in big trouble. And actually, the chief Sephardic rabbi of Israel at the time wrote him a letter saying, as much as I support you, I can't support your actions because you're going against our rabbi. And Rabbi Yosef wrote him back a letter. Famous letter in which he says,
Buzz off.
he said that he writes specifically a commentary on the Ben Ish Chai because he loves the Ben Ish Chai. If he didn't like the Ben Ish Chai, why would he bother spending his life writing a commentary on the Ben Ish Chai? So don't tell me that I don't like the Ben Ish Chai. And then he writes some interesting things here. He says,
And Ben Ish Chai was already passed away, right? By this time.
yes, already a long time passed away by this time.
About 50 years or 70 years.
He says, and how could you tell me that I can't argue with the Ben Ish Chai? He said, V'zohi derech HaTorah. This is the way of the Torah. V'kol misheino seken. Anyone who doesn't analyze and argue, he says, B'chashecha yitalech. He'll be walking his whole life in darkness. And he said, Ukvar siparti lamar, and I already explained to you, dear Rabbi, Lifnei shana, a year ago, He'ach nitchaber kuntos, on how I even wrote this book. Kibioti ze ketet vav shana. Whoa. Not 17, he was 15. He said, when I was 15 years old, Haiti melamed behamon sefer Ben Ish Chai. I was teaching the masses the books of the Ben Ish Chai, that he was giving a shiur that people would come to. And every time I would look to see the sources where the Ben Ish Chai said, and then sometimes I saw when I agree with him and when I disagree with him. Said every time he would teach the Ben Ish Chai, he would write more notes and more notes and more notes, and that's how it came this book. And then he says, "V'yadati ki kol milchamto shel mar ata." He says, I know that all this war that you're fighting against me, dear Rabbi, that you're fighting against me, hi mechuvenet, it's intended la'atil alai ema, it's meant to scare me. Shelo adpis et hakuntas halazeh, so that I should not continue printing this book. Aval kvar limdunu rabotenu, but our rabbis have already taught us, lo taguru mipnei ish, you should have no fear from any man. Lo te'egor dvarecha mipnei ish, you should not be silent to say the truth because of any person. Ela she'en bedati ata ladbiso. Rather, I don't have an intention today to print this book. Ve'ot chazon lamoed, and I will essentially will reach the point where I have enough funds or whatever it was that I'll be able to print this. So everything I do is l'shem shamayim. Everything that I do is only to increase Hashem's name, to teach people Shulchan Aruch. And he says, this is what I'm going to do, and Shalom Yisrael, and signed Ovadia Yosef, it says here. This was the first time he got himself in big trouble. In later letters, he writes that he knows that the people who argue with him, they're just old Iraqi men who don't know how to learn Torah.
He didn't have a smicha by that time.
Sure, he probably did.
Probably at that
Probably at age 13.
No, Rabbi Yosef, very young. I don't know, did he have smicha, didn't he have smicha? He was already, what was he doing? He wasn't teaching here, novel psak. Rabbi Yosef was teaching a work of halakha. I remember when I was teaching Torah, a leader pushing me to teach Torah. I was 14 years old. I started teaching. I wasn't giving today like I do with different halachot. I had a book and I was translating and teaching it to people and my own thoughts and things. Obviously, Chama was 1,000 times more brilliant. He had learned so many more books by then. But he wasn't doing anything that you technically needed smicha to do. He was just teaching Torah from a printed book of someone. I don't know exactly what year Chama got smicha, but definitely at this age he was already considered well known enough that he carried some weight, which was not unusual for him in his lifetime. And by the time Rabbi Yosef was dating, he was already a very famous rabbi in Jerusalem. I told you once made the famous story, Rabbi Yosef and his wife. Yeah, she was very offended with him. Because once they were walking on a date, and she was telling him all about these things and this and that. Yeah. And she said, so what do you think? And he said, to be honest, I didn't listen to anything you said. I was busy learning from one of my classes that I'm preparing. She got so offended, she went home and told her that I never want to see this man again. And Chama Yosef came the next time to pick her up on a date, and the father said, you can take me on a date, but she's not going to come with you. Said, what do you mean she's not going to come with me? So, well, she was so offended, you didn't have any sensitivity to her. So Rabbi Yosef went into the house, and he begged her to go with him on a second date. And he walked and said, how about this? Why don't you come with me to class to see what it is that I do? And so she walked with him on Shabbat afternoon. It was his first class that he gave. And he said, listen, now I have to go to my class. Maybe you'll just wait for me and I'll continue after my class. In an hour we'll go on another walk. And she said, no, I want to come listen. So she would stay outside the window and she would listen to his class for an hour. And then he came out and said, okay, well I have another class in half an hour in a different neighborhood. Let's walk to that class. And he went to 3 classes that Shabbat, and the whole time he didn't prepare because he was busy talking to her. And from that moment that she saw him, he was a young man walking into the room and everyone stood up for him. She, for the rest of her life, in public, not in private, in public always referred to him as Harav Ovadia. The Rabbi Ovadia. Like, that was when she gained this respect for him. But at a very young age, he was already famous. Chacham Ovadia Yosef wrote his first commentary on a book when he was 9 years old. We have handwritten notes of his, 9 years old, on a book called Reshit Chochmah. Reshit Chochmah is a book that you study before you want to study Kabbalah. It's the introduction to Kabbalah. And at 9 years old, he got it as a gift from one of the rabbis in Jerusalem, and he has his notes on it. So, I don't know how old he was, but at this point in time, how do we get to the Ben Ish Chai?
Yeah.
Oh, because that's essentially, like you said, the reason we're bringing up Solim and Kubalim. Today, it's part and parcel of Sephardic halacha. Whether we like it or not, it is what it is. And so we deal with it. We have to know it, but we don't always follow it. God willing, we'll continue this halacha tomorrow.
So what?